Hi, my name is Xavier Bolden. I'm a sophomore student at A&M, and I'm someone who feels qualified to discuss the consequences of social media on our generation because I'm someone who spends upwards of 6 hours a day on social media on average. That mainly consists of Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, and I feel like certain social media more than others, namely Twitter and Instagram Reels, are very prone to spreading morbid videos and negativity and hate. I believe part of this is a result of social media being a career path. If people are able to get more clicks by spreading outrage and hate, then they will do that because it increases the interactions that they receive. Another aspect of the negative impact of social media on our generation is the unrealistic beauty standards that are often set. As the course media, we're all getting social media dysmorphia explains, modern beauty filters often cause body dysmorphia, especially in women, but also in men. However, more recently, I've found that a lot of male body dysmorphia is being caused by gym influencers. Some of the effects of this can be seen in a trend, if you want to call it that, called looks maxing. If you don't know what it is, basically it's usually men doing certain exercises in order to change the structure of their face, which usually only often have minor effects and just causes men to hate the way they look. Because of these reasons, I believe that social media is negatively impacting the mindset of our generation. However, when I interviewed one of my friends, Cully, he expressed the opinion that we are no more depressed now than we would have been before social media existed. He believes that it's just more visible now because of the widespread communication that we have. This belief contrasts with the other person I interviewed, who is one of my roommates and a self-described very Christian individual. He believes that social media brings us further away from God, and that intrinsically, it causes us to spend less time on important things. While he admits that it can be a good tool for spreading awareness and connecting if used correctly, he also believes that it makes us more anxious about issues that we can't change. This perspective of his shares similar ideas to the lecture Dr. Hernandez gave on April 3rd, which discussed whether or not Gen Z is the anxiety generation. Personally, I understand both of their perspectives, but find it more likely that social media genuinely is negatively impacting us. Moving on from the issue of social media, smartphones are a technology that have infiltrated every corner of modern society. However, many people are most concerned with their impact on the youth. Take, for example, the course media and the phone-based Childhood Now, which discusses the correlation between smartphone access and mental illnesses like depression, anxiety, as well as suicide. Or take, for example, the course media, Are Notifications Taking Over Our Teens' Lives, which expresses concern for the rising amount of screen time that young people have. These concerns were shared by my roommate who I interviewed. He firmly believes everyone should spend less time on their phones and should set themselves a screen time limit. As a whole, both my roommate and the course media point to the conclusion that the more screen time you consume a day, the more likely you are to be anxious or depressed. An additional concern that was brought up in Dr. Hernandez's April 5th lecture was the importance of digital development milestones versus in-person milestones, and how significant in-person moments during adolescent and youth development have a more profound impact on an individual than digital milestones. Personally, while I think that in-person milestones are more significant than digital ones, I don't think that there's such a strict correlation between increased screen time and mental diseases, which is the same opinion expressed by my other interviewee, Cully. We both agree that it's important for people to interact face-to-face with other humans and spend time outside. Unless you are spending literally all day on a screen, it's not such a direct correlation. As for solutions to these issues, I firmly believe that in order for serious change to take effect, each individual needs to take responsibility and view their social media habits from an outside perspective to really determine how happy social media really makes you. Of course, we can have resources to help people who potentially have an unhealthy relationship with social media to break their bad habits and addictions in a healthy way. But at the end of the day, it really comes down to an individual's decision. Otherwise, organizations and families would have to be overly restrictive, which I don't think is ever a good solution, because restrictions usually fuel the desire to do something more, in my experience. Both of the individuals I interviewed agreed that the biggest changes need to be made on an individual level, with my roommate believing that people need to connect more with God and limit their screen time so that they have more access to the real world. while Cully believes that other types of restrictions, such as school and family restrictions, are mainly useless and tend to only cause resentment and no real long-term change. As Dr. Hernandez discussed in the March 25th lecture, there are so many ways to get around restrictive use of the internet, such as VPNs or even using Tor. So the real changes need to be made willingly and internally. Thank you.